Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Klishta Karmane Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshine Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So in the last class we finished two verses. The first beginning verse, and then the second verse talked about adhikari. Adhikari, or the person who is qualified to listen to Bhagavatam. In this verse, he is going to talk about how Srimad Bhagavatam is the true essence or true fruit of Vedic knowledge. So in the Vedas are generally divided into three parts. The first part is called Karma Kanda. Karma here means rituals. Any action you do. So normal actions in the worldly parlance is called Laukikam Karma, or worldly actions. The worldly actions does not need any deliberation, like blinking your eyes. You don't have to think about it. You just have to blink. Breathing. Involuntary actions. Those actions are called worldly because any creature in the world does that. Any creature, starting from a buffalo, it doesn't deliberate. It just does the action. Why does all the creature do this action? Because they are programmed by nature. But we are different in the sense we are called Manu Putraha. Manu is the first being created by God. That's why we are called man. And it indicates that we have a mind. The animals also has a mind. The difference is our mind is self-conscious. We are self-conscious beings. Whereas a dog or a bullock is only conscious of its own species. A dog might know that it has to be friendly with a Pomeranian, if it is a Pomeranian. It might not be very friendly with a bulldog. So its consciousness or its judgment is limited to its own species. How do I know about this? We infer it. When we see their behavior, we infer that their consciousness is limited. When you give a bunch of grass to a cow, it comes and takes it. And when you show it a stick, it runs away. So it makes certain judgments which are reactionary. But our judgment is different. Our self-judgment involves, it's very complex. It's highly evolved. If the cow has a crooked horn, it doesn't feel bad about it. The owner can feel bad about it because he is conscious. The cow itself, it does not have any problem with its height, weight, or its appearance. It will be very happy being a cow. In other words, the cow is self-realized, self-content. It is very happy being what it is. It is not trying to become something else. But a human being is not ever happy of what he is or she is. It is always trying to become something else. It is never content of its own. The human race is never content of being what it is. It is always looking for progress. And this discontentment arises from self-judgment. The self-judgment includes comparisons, all the positive and negative feelings of the mind. If the neighbor is charitable, you want to be more charitable than him. If he is rich, you want to be more richer than him. So, that way, the human race is very different from other creatures in the universe. The human race is the only race which is self-conscious and evolved in thinking.
So, I think when we were like cave people, right?
Primitive, yeah.
So, I don't think we had it then. We were still at the animal level, right?
Yeah.
Just to feed and all. So, when did we start becoming competitive and from what? Since when? Because not only that we are judgmental of our own selves.
Right.
People now, it has become a very common tendency that people want to make others look.
See, as far as the Bhagavatam is concerned, it is a scriptural text. It is not worried about the evolution, historical evolution of human beings. It doesn't provide us with a timeline that man was primitive at any time. That is the modern outlook, the scientific outlook of human being. So if you follow that outlook, you will end up in a monkey. But Srimad Bhagavatam, in the vision of Bhagavatam, human being is complete. He is Purnaha. He is wholesome. And if he is taken as described in the scripture, he is fit to understand himself. So that is the difference between the human description of modernity and from the Bhagavatam side viewpoint of view. The modern viewpoint of human beings is filled with this peer pressure. We have put these several caps on human beings. You are not only a human being, you are an American citizen, you are a householder, you are a teacher, you have social responsibilities, you have professional responsibilities. The primitive man was simple enough to have just human feelings. He could just be jealous, just be charitable, just focus on his human abilities. But this is from the modern perspective. And this is all speculation. It is anybody's speculation whether we came from a monkey or not. So that is a modern worldview. We are not going to discount this worldview, but we are going to investigate how far it is objectively right. Because when you bring your knowledge into the table, it is always coming from a certain background. Your past is involved in that description of your things. Your history is going to cloud your judgments. But whereas Bhagavatam is presenting things very objectively. Why it is important to be objective when you describe yourself? Because when you are going to describe yourself subjectively, you will say that you are a woman, you are an American citizen, you are a mother, all this you will be saying. But if you are just described as a human being, then we can say that you breathe, you think, and your thinking can be deliberate, and it can be different from the animal and plant kingdom. All this can help you transcend the social and cultural barriers. And by transcending that social and cultural barriers, you can just get to the simple person, core person who you are really. And that will help you recognize your center and balance. That is why a very objective outlook of things is very useful. The subjective outlook can be individually enriching, but that cannot really help us understand the world in general. It has to be true to every single human being. So we have to have a samatva bhavana, as we call it. We should have an equal vision. We should have an equal vision which would embrace all humanity. So here I really like the primitive man because he was more human than the modern man. There are certain similarities between Bhagavatam's conception of human beings and the earlier human beings. They didn't have these problems of greed and being centered on oneself. All actions are so selfish. They were free from that because they were free from sophistication and they were free from evolution. The higher you evolve, the more complex you are going to get, and then with that complexity your responsibility increases. And when you don't match that responsibility with action, then you have these problems. So getting back to this human condition of being self-judgmental, that gives arise to this sense of limitation, sense of limitedness. Every human being will, because of this judgment, he thinks that he is incapable of achieving his goals. So here Bhagavatam, what it says is, in this verse, it says that this Bhagavatam is the fruit of all Vedic knowledge. What is the difference between a fruit and a tree? The tree means it is so wide and vast, and you don't see its root. The cause is hidden. Whereas fruit is the very essence of that tree. It is already in consumable form. You cannot consume the tree, but you can consume the fruit. It's very easy to make it your own. If you eat apple, the apple becomes you. So the Bhagavatam is described here as the fruit of Vedic wisdom. The Veda itself is described as a tree, because a tree has unseen and seen part. So is knowledge. Whenever you have an insight, this knowledge is coming because of your continuous effort for a very long time. It just doesn't happen like that. You don't invent a bulb in a moment of inspiration. You fail 99 times, and it is the 100th time you are inventing that bulb. So any knowledge is a result of a long process. And this process is always hidden in your subconscious. That is why the Vedas are likened to a tree, because the roots, the beginning of the Vedas, is not seen by anybody. We call it Anadi. Anadi means that which does not have known beginning. Nobody can say that it started in 2nd century AD. It is way, way, way older. Thousands of years, 10,000s of years older. That is why it is likened to a tree, with the unseen beginning and the visible chandas or parna or leaf. That is how he is explaining this verse. The verse is Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam. This Bhagavatam is galidam phalam, a fruit which has fallen and falls right in your hand. From where did it fell? Nigama kalpataro, from the tree of the Nigama or Veda. So it also means that this fruit, one thing, it's very easy to consume. Second thing, it is the essence. Fruit is the essence of the tree. So the Vedas, there are 4 Vedas, you know that. The Rig Veda has 10,800 verses. The Yajurveda has 8,000. Shukla Yajurveda has 4,000 verses. And Atharvana Veda has 5,000 more verses. So totally we have about 20,000 verses to learn. And that is too much of investigation. It will take a lifetime for you to understand what the Vedas are saying. But the Srimad Bhagavatam, being the fruit, it is the essence of the Vedas. So all the salient features, eliminating all the stories, it is going to give you the essence of the Vedic wisdom in one place. That is why it is called the fruit, Bhagavatam. And also, this fruit is very ripe. Very ripe in the sense, you won't feel bored. It is easy to consume. You don't have a problem with the taste. That's what he's saying. He's saying, Pibada Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. This is the Rasam, or the very essence of the Vedas. The Vedas have got the Karma Kanda, or the rituals, and Jnana Kanda, which is the philosophy, knowledge. And Bhagavatam deals with the essence of both. In other words, it is going to tell you what are the essential things you have to do, and what are the things which are essential for you to know, in order to understand yourself, the Word, and God. So that is what the Vedas and Bhagavatam is dealing with. And this being the fruit, it is, since we have given you the fruit, it is saying, Edad Drasam Bhagavata Rupam, which is in the form of Bhagavatam, Pibada, please drink. How do you drink Bhagavatam? Karna Rasayanam. It has to be drunk with the ears. Meaning you have to, whenever possible, you have to listen to it. And who are the people who are qualified to understand or drink this knowledge? He has given 2 adjectives. One is called Rasikaha, the next one is called Bhavukaha. The whole verse I will chant once. It comes as this: Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukamukadamrita drava sanyutam pipada bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. Bhuvi, in this world, hey rasikaha. So those are the people who should drink it. People who are rasikas. The second one, people who are bhavukas. The meaning of rasika is one who has got rasa. rasam is a dish in South India. It is made of lentils soup, and it is very watery. And if you convert that word, put it upside down, rasa will become sara. And in local languages, rasam is called saru. What is the name for rasam in local language? Saru. Sara means essence. Sara means the condensed version of the thing. So that's what they say. Ananta Shastram Bahu Veditavyam. There are so many sciences to be learnt for understanding oneself. Knowing oneself is, everybody has got his own conception of self. A person can think that he senses because he is pursuing sensual pleasures, because he is taking himself to be the senses. He cannot be happy or be content without engaging the senses. And certain people, they think that they are mind, so they have to understand the mind, so they have to pursue psychology. They have to understand different facets and feelings. Some people are very intellectual, so they have to philosophize. So there are several compartments of the human being. All these are provided with knowledge of the different parts of human being, like anthropology, psychology, and the ancient sciences. These are all called sciences. And the science is not one, so that we can just read one book and understand ourselves. It is anantam. There is no end to human knowledge. Why? Because every knowledge will get further specialized. It will start with biology, then it will go to a tree, a flower, and then they can study a petal and do a PhD on that. And we cannot stop with it. That's why we have got so many specialization nowadays. It all started just with mere zoology, but then each and every animal is being studied. There are pet specialists who will tell you the features of each and every pet. Because of this, because these sciences are so many, it is humanly impossible to study all these sciences. That's what they are saying, Ananta Shastram. Even in India, we had so many different sciences: metallurgy, science of chemistry, Ayurveda. 14 different specializations are told in the Vedas itself. And there are still more which are lost. So if you are trying to pursue each of these sciences, it is not possible for you to get into yourself by studying all this. Because of what? Alpascha kalaha. Your time is very limited. You are given only 50 or 60 active years in human life. Granthasya bhafyaha. But the subject matter and the books are many. So what should you do? Yet saram tadupasidavyam. Whatever is the saram. Saram means what? Essence. That you have to pursue. That is why the Bhagavatam is called the rasam or the essence. Since you cannot study all the 20,000 verses of the 4 Vedas, it is given in a condensed form in Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is very easy to consume. Hence, please pursue this Bhagavatam. That is the imploration in the 3rd verse. And who are qualified to do this? Number 1 qualification is Rasika. Rasika means a person who understands rasa. Rasika is a person who knows what rasa is. And what is rasa? Rasa means human emotion. What is a rasa? It means human emotion. The most useful and the most widely recognized human emotion is karuna. What is karuna? Compassion. When you see somebody suffering, you have an irritation in your heart. You are very irritated. You feel that you are suffering. When you see somebody suffering, you reach out. Empathy, which turns into sympathy, because you cannot get your mind off that scene. So you have to act upon. That is the first human emotion. That is why how children are born, purely because of the compassion of mother. Otherwise, for 10 months, who is feeding them? And after they are born, again 10 months they are being fed by the mother, who is driven just by this basic human emotion called karuna or compassion. In fact, there is the very first poetry ever written by human being. It is called Ramayana. It is called Adi Kavyam. In our culture, Ramayana is called Adi Kavyam, means the first poetry. Linguistically also, it has been proven that it is the oldest human literature. That Adi Kavyam, it was written by a sage called Valmiki. The very first verse he writes in that poetry is, it's like a curse. He's actually going to take bath in a river called Tamasa. That's the name of the river, Tamasa river. So he goes and take bath, and when he is coming, he saw a hunter killing one of the birds. There are two birds, a pair, the husband bird and wife, the female and male bird, and they are mating. And this hunter, he kills that male bird, masculine bird, and it falls down. And the sage who is walking, he looks at this bird being killed, and he cannot stand it. So his mind becomes so filled with compassion, karuna rasa. That's what we call it. We have 9 rasas in Sanskrit: Shringara, Veera, Bhayanaka, Bhibhatsa, Karuna. Karuna and Shanta are the most fine rasas, because that brings humanity completely out of you. That is the only rasa which can bring where your humanity can completely manifest. And because this Valmiki was a dharmatma, who was a practitioner of dharma. Dharma means who was very pure. How did he become pure? Because he had chanted the word mantra Rama for millions of times. He has been repeating that. As a result of that mantra, his mind has become free. Tra means to free, be free. Swatantra. Man means mind. So his mind is so pure. His mind is dharma itself. It's completely balanced. So, and in that height of his dharmic sense, he feels this compassion. In that state, what happens is there is no difference between you and the world you see. Whatever you see, you identify with that. If somebody is happy, you become happy with them. If somebody is sad, it evokes sadness in you, because you don't see any difference between you and the creatures, the external world. That's what happens to a Dharmatma, to a Mahatma. Since Valmiki had attained that state, he saw this male bird being killed and that female bird crying. So he got this shoka. Shoka is also one of the rasa. Shoka means depression. So out of this shoka, a sloka was created. Shoka slokatvam agataha. That's what Ramayana says. His shoka turned into poetry. And he says, Manishada pradishtatvam. This is the very first verse he utters as kavyam. And he does not deliberately do it. Poetry, you cannot do it deliberately. It is not will-based. If you try to do poetry will-based, it will become very... it won't evoke any emotions in the reader. It has to be written while you are in a dream state. In dream state, you are conscious, but your will is not operating. It is almost like meditation or sleeping. You cannot forcefully sleep yourself. Or anger. You cannot be willfully angry. Try to say that I am going to be angry in the next 30 seconds. You cannot be angry. Anger will appear when the conditions are set. Same thing with poetry. The poetry will come only when your mind is completely attuned with the subject you are describing. You disappear and you become that thing you are describing. Then only poetry can appear. So this Valmiki, he saw this separation of the husband and wife, and he was so overwhelmed with grief, and he turns into compassion, and then he says a curse to that hunter. He says, Manishada pradishtatvam Shashwati Samaha. Shashwati Samaha means maximum human years, 100 years. You won't live forever. Et krauncha mithunadegam avadhit kamumohitam. Because you became overcome with this sense of hunting, lust for flesh, and you killed that bird. Hence you are going to die. Saying this, he walked off. And his disciples are with him because he is a great sage. Then he started wondering, why did it affect me? The hunter is doing his job. Hunter's job is to hunt. And killing is his job. That's what he is doing. How is that I became so overwhelmed with this compassion? Then he consults his guru, Narada, and he says that you actually are born to write the first poem of humanity. And it concerns with Rama and Sita. And Sita was stolen by this evil king Ravana. and their separation, everything was evoked in you. It was all there in your subconscious. That is why your shoka, your depression came in the form of sloka. Sloka means it has 32 letters. That 32 letters are very uh, arranged in a meter called Anushtup. So all that grammatically and poetically flowed in you because that is your purpose. And then Valmiki understands the purpose of his karuna and his shoka and depression, and he sits down and writes this poetry of Ramayana. So unless he had had this rasa, unless he was a rasika, unless he was a person who was capable of being aware of human emotions, he could not have become the first poet. So that is the first requirement to understand Bhagavatam. In order to understand the text, you should have that nimbleness of mind. You should be able to understand what the poet is saying and identify with them. If you are able to do that, you are a rasika. Then you can bring this rasa through your ears. The second description he gives is bhavukaha. So rasika means if somebody has written a poetry, you understand it as such and enjoy it. You have that fineness of mind. But bhavuka means you should have imagination as well. Because whenever a poet writes something, it's laid with meanings. It's not just a simple statement. It can have a lot of implications. That is why it is called poetry. It's not like somebody making a random statement. The poetry has to evoke a lot of emotions in you. It is a loaded statement. But if you have to understand that, you have to be a bhavuka. What is a bhavuka? Bhavuka is a person who understands rasa vishesha and who understands the special features of that work. That is required to understand the intricacies of Bhagavatam. Otherwise, what will happen? It will say that Mukam Karoti Vachalam, a dumb person will speak, Pangum Langete Grim, a lame person will walk. This is all miracles. So, you'll just understand the word to word meaning. Unless you have the capability of understanding the intent of the author, the context, then you cannot bring out the salient features of the poetry. So, you have to also be a bhavuka. That's what he's saying. So being a bhavuka, a person with special imagination, being a rasika, being open to the fineness of human mind, who understand human emotions, Bhagavatam Pibada. Please understand this Bhagavatam. Why should you understand Bhagavatam? Because it is Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam. It is the essence of the Vedic knowledge. And then he also says one more thing, Shuka Mukat Amrita Drava Samyutam. If there is a tree filled with fruits, certain fruits are supposed to be more sweeter, which are actually eaten by a parrot, because the parrot will pick only the sweetest of the fruit. So here the parrot which has eaten, his name is Shuka. Shuka is the name of a sage. He is the son of sage Vyasa, which means what? Vyasa, the author, taught to his son Shuka, and Shuka tasted this fruit of Bhagavatam. Because it is tasted by a parrot, or because it is told by, it came from the mouth of Shuka, it is even more tastier. Which means it is well tested. That's what it means. And also it came from a parampara. Vyasa is the father and Shuka is the son. So it has come from a traditional Guru Shishya parampara. It has not randomly fallen on your hand, but it was taught by the father to the son, by the teacher to the student. And in this teaching tradition, that is what is implied. That's what poets do. Poets they will say something, they'll talk about a parrot and a fruit, but something else is suggested. So what is suggested? Suggestion or dhvani. That is the essence of poetry. Kavyasya atma dhvani. The hidden soul of poetry is dhvani or suggestion. So that is what is being suggested. That because it says it was tasted by a parrot or Shuka, it's also suggested the father Vyasa handed it over to the son Shuka, and he to his disciple Shaunaka, and like that it has come down to us to this day. So it is very important that you learn it in the traditional format. You cannot skip tradition. You cannot say that I will investigate this on my own. So there is a traditional format of learning these scriptures. You have to follow that. That's what he's suggesting. Doesn't say it in many words, but he is suggesting that because this was given to Vyasa to Shuka, please follow that tradition and get this knowledge traditionally. So that is the whole meaning of the Veda, the verse. Nigama kalpataror galitam phalam Shuka mukad amrutadrava samyutam pibada bhagavatam rasam. So this rasam of the Bhagavatam, pibada, drink. How long should I drink this? Should I drink it every day? He is saying alayam. What is the meaning of alayam? Generally, alayam means a house. Alayam means house. Devalayam means temple, the house of God. Granthalayam means the house of books, meaning a library. Vidyalayam means a place of learning, meaning a school. Vishwavidyalayam means study university, because the word Vishwa, universe, is involved. Like that, generally the Alayam means a house. But here Alayam is split into two words. Layam means dissolution. Layam means moksha. The meaning of Layam is here what? Pralaya or moksha. Alayam means until. So until moksha, you have to continue reading the Bhagavatam. So what is this moksha? Moksha means swaswarupe avasthanam. You being yourself is called moksha. So are you not yourself? Am I not myself? No. No. Right now we are not ourselves. First thing, we take ourselves for the body, which we are not. For the past 30 minutes, we were talking, nobody itched, nobody scratched, nobody touched their body here. They were all sitting like this. What is the reason? Because nobody was thinking that they are the body. Everybody is thinking that they are the mind. So you are a mental self. For the past 30 minutes, you are a mental self. You are identifying with the mind. So mind is your subtle body. What is mind? It is not your gross body. Why it is called the subtle body? Because you cannot see it. You cannot see your mind. So the gross body is what 99% of the time we are taking ourselves for the gross body. We don't take ourselves for the self we are. Sukshma Sharira is the mind. But you say this is my mind, which means what? You are inside the mind. You are beyond the mind. So what are you then? That is what we have to understand. Till when? Till when we have to understand? Alayam. Till you understand. Till you get moksha. And what is moksha? Understanding, knowing yourself. Moksha is not going to heaven. Because if you want to go to heaven, what is the first thing you have to do? You have to die. But moksha happens when you are alive. Because you cannot know when you are dead. Moksha has to happen when you are really alive. And how do you get moksha? How do you get laya? Pibada Bhagavatam. You listen to Bhagavatam. And what is Bhagavatam? What is the word Bhagavatam means? Bhagavatam means Bhagavataha idam. That which belongs to Bhagavan. That which belongs to Bhagavan. Who is Bhagavan? The Creator. And what belongs to the Creator? The creation. What belongs to the Creator? The creation. What is the creation? You. You are the creation. So it's about you, the Creator, and the creation. That's what Bhagavatam is all about. Bhagavatam deals with Jagat, Jagat Karta, and Jagat Vastu. That's what we dealt in the first verse. The first verse, what did we talk? We talked about meditation on the truth. Satyam Param Dhimahi. And what is that Satyam? The Satyam which is the creator of this universe in two ways. Swarupa Lakshana and Tadastha Lakshana. As Jagat Janmadi Karta and as Satyam. That's what we explained in the last class. The true definition of the creation and the creator. So that is what Bhagavatam is dealing with. That you please listen. How long? Till you get understanding of yourself, which is moksha. So that is the meaning of this verse. We will stop with this and we will continue in the next class. Sit down and talk. You can ask. Please sit down. Yeah, really. Yeah.
So they started with like 3 kalankaras, right?